Hi, welcome to this week's In the Hoods. This week we're going to be talking about the middle of Central Park, which for the purposes of our conversation is going to run from 72nd Street to about 97th Street. You know, again, Central Park is every New Yorker's backyard. And this area of the park was in particular my backyard growing up. Let's begin with Bethesda Fountain, which is the jewel of Central Park, or maybe just one of the jewels. It was actually built. It's one of the only remaining structures that was actually built in Central Park during the Civil War. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful plaza with a fountain in the middle overlooking the lake. And it's a place where I gathered with friends in high school and we engaged in illicit behavior, which is now legal. In more recent history, if you go west from Bethesda Fountain up to 79th Street, in front of the Dakota, which is a building on Central Park West, you have Strawberry Fields, which is a memorial to John Lennon, who loved Central Park and was murdered when he went back to his apartment at the Dakota many, many years ago. But as you move north on the east side, you come to Cedar Hill, which I remember as a child being a fabulous place to go sledding. And it seemed so huge when I was just a little person. And it was great sledding, and it was a fun family activity. Then as you go north across 79th Street, you come to the Metropolitan Museum, which is actually in Central Park, but it has windows off the back when it was redesigned that are all glass looking into the park. And a little bit north of the museum in the park is Cleopatra's obelisk. And I believe this was a gift from the Egyptian government to New York City. And it's a beautiful obelisk. I used to go there as a child and have fantasies of being in Egypt and finding lost tombs. And it may have been the beginning of my interest in anthropology and archaeology. In more recent years, I've spent a lot of time at the Delacorte Theater, which is a beautiful city-owned theater on the west side of Manhattan, in the park at around 80th Street, 79th, 80th Street. The Shakespeare, Joseph Pabst began a free Shakespeare in the park. And this is run to this day, although Joe Papp is no longer with us. It's run by the Public Theater, which was started by Joe Papp. They have sole use of this theater, and every summer they put on 2 Shakespeare productions. I went to both this year. They're very enjoyable. Whether for Shakespeare aficionados, they take a lot of liberties, but it's a magical evening under the stars, if you can see them. It's a wonderful evening in the park. And then right behind the Delacorte Theater, you see Delacorte Castle, which is a structure. It looks like a castle. There's a lot of weather equipment in there that's used by the weather service. So everything is used. As you walk east from the Delacorte, it's the Great Lawn, which is where many free concerts are held. When they had the Welcome Back New York concert, it was all fenced off and heavily controlled. It was very hard to get tickets. I really had quite an attitude about it because it was like no New Yorkers need apply. But in normal times, this is where concerts are held. And if there aren't concerts there, it's a wonderful place to have a picnic. As you go north, you hit the Jacqueline Onassis Reservoir, which is a huge reservoir which has a running track around it. And a lot of people use this place to do their daily run. And it's a beautiful spot, and it actually supplies water to the city today. At one point, I believe during the Depression, it didn't hold water, but was something of a shanty town. But you might correct me on my history there. And then if you go north and a little to the west of the reservoir, you come to the Central Park Tennis Center, another one of my favorite spots in the city. This center has multiple clay courts on their city courts. They're public. You do have to have a permit, and you do have to make reservations. But they're good courts. They're well maintained. Last time I was there, anyway, they were. And it's part of New York. It's free, it's open, it's there for all New Yorkers.